Hey everyone, this is Indoor Recess, a Toronto Star video series where we chat about sports. I'm Braden Homeyard, and I'm joined by Raptors and NBA reporter Doug Smith today to catch up on a very busy weekend in basketball. Good morning, Doug. Have you caught your breath yet?
Somehow, yes. I wish things had happened on the business hours of Eastern Time, but that's not how life works.
Well, you did a great job covering throughout last week and this weekend. It was fun to follow. The weekend was obviously the busy part, but starting with news that you broke on Friday about the federal government denying the Raptors' request to play in Toronto. But before we start with that and Raptors free agency, let's just quickly catch up on the draft, which also happened last week. Malachi Flynn, what do the Raptors see in him, and why did they take him with the 29th pick?
Well, they kind of see a young Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, sort of tough-minded, self-confident, undersized guard who is really, really good in the pick and roll. And in the end, this man's NBA. That's got to be priority number one for a point guard, is to be able to handle that rudimentary but very complex play. He was by far the top of their list of the players available at 29, and when he was available for them, they jumped at it. There's a little bit of duplication of roster, but you know what? You let him figure it out as they go along, and he's certainly not going to be counted on to contribute greatly next year. But maybe a couple years down the road, the kid's a bit of a player.
Cool. And what do Raptors fans need to know about second-round pick Jalen Harris?
Great, crazy athlete. Jump out of the gym. Went to the NBA Combine virtually this year and absolutely shredded the competition in leaping ability, quickness, vertical, that kind of stuff. He's a creator. He's a scorer. I'm not sure how that translates to the NBA level, but there's a lot of raw tools there that the Raptors hope that their development people can sort of polish and turn him into an NBA guy.
Awesome. Sounds like a typical Raptors type player.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Raptors for a second. On Friday, you broke the news the Raptors were denied the ability to play at home in Toronto. Were you surprised by this, or did it seem like it was always going to go this way?
I was a little bit. I don't think surprised is the right word. I had hoped that they could come up with a plan to satisfy the federal government for public safety and public health that would have been workable. The longer it dragged on, the more it became inevitable that they weren't going to be able to do it. I think once it got to even the start of last week, it was just a matter of when the announcement was going to come and where they were going to go. The chance exists for them to come back in March. There's a break in the NBA schedule, and who knows what the pandemic changes hourly. Who knows what it's going to be like in 3 weeks, let alone 3 months. But yeah, I don't think there was any big surprise as time dragged on that the Fed said no.
Why did Tampa Bay end up being the right fit for the Raptors to call home this season?
A couple of reasons. They have an NBA-ready arena. Emily Arena that the Lightning play in is certainly feasible for the NBA. They've hosted basketball events there before, preseason games, college games. I think Florida is interesting because of the accounting procedure. The Raptors will have days of residency in a state that has no sales tax and no income tax. So that's a good thing for the money part of it. Warm weather is a big deal. I think if you're going to ask players to inconvenience themselves for a season or half a season, you don't want them stuck where winter's going to kill them. That's why I think Newark was never an option. It's just a logical place. The Raptors are kind of familiar with Florida, having spent all that time in Naples before they even went to Orlando in the bubble.
Right.
And they'll have their own practice facility set up. They'll have an NBA caliber arena to play in. It's certainly not optimum. Toronto would have been the place, but it was by far, I think, their number one alternative.
If you're going to put me in kind of a safe environment, I would take the Florida weather too.
Yeah, exactly.
So the big news of the weekend came on Saturday. The Raptors said all along their number one priority was signing Fred VanVleet. They got it done at 4 years, $85 million, which was a record-breaking deal for an undrafted player. First off, what did you think of the contract, and was there ever really any doubt that this would get done?
A very fair contract. I'm glad that he got paid. I always thought $20 million a year was about the right number for Fred VanVleet in this day and age of the NBA economics. I think him having the option on the fourth year is a solid move on his part, just in case things change financially or professionally. Um, but it's fair market, and it was absolutely the right. It was the only thing the Raptors could do. I never thought they would let Fred go. They would pay whatever it took to get him done because he's too integral to the seamless transition of the team. And the Raptors have shown that if they value their own free agents, they'll re-sign them. And I know Gasol and Ibaka got away, but that's okay. That's a loss, but it's not a critical loss. Fred would have been a critical loss, and the Raptors proved to be excuse me. The Raptors proved to be men of their words. They said they would sign Fred, and they signed Fred, and that's a good signal to his teammates and to him.
It's easy to forget sometimes with all he's accomplished in Toronto as a champ, what he's done in the playoffs, that he's only 26 and he's actually had 2 seasons as a starter. Are we likely to see him take his game to new levels?
Well, I think there's ways to improve. I think he could finish at the rim a little bit better. He's never going to get any taller, but I think there are ways he can get a little bit smarter defensively. He gambles a lot, and that's a good thing. He's obviously, leads the team in deflections and is always around the ball. But yeah, there's room for him to be better. Pick and roll offense, pull up jump shooting from 26 feet instead of 30 feet. There are improvements to his game. And you're right, Brayden, he's 26 years old. He's been an NBA starter for 2 years. He's certainly not at the apex of his career. He's got a lot more to give. And it's sort of dovetailed. Play one more year with Kyle Lowry and then become the guy. And I think that's a good timeline for him.
You touched on Serge and Gasol, how the Raptors did lose out on them. Specifically, Serge Ibaka, who ended up bringing a bit more money, got a good deal from the Clippers. Does that loss put a damper at all on this weekend and what the Raptors were able to accomplish?
I think losing both of them does. I think they wanted one, but they were never going to go to a second guaranteed year with anybody, and that was always the sticking point. They needed to preserve financial flexibility for 2021. And if they could have got Serge at a big number on a one-year deal, they would have been quite happy, but they would have been okay with Marc. I think Serge was number 1, Marc was number 2, but they were never going to go to a second-year guaranteed with either of them. And if it was good enough for them to take, they would have taken it. It wasn't. They got good deals, not great deals, good deals. And, just things evolve. Time to move on. It's too bad. They would have preferred to have one. I don't think both was a big deal, one or the other, but not getting either is a blow, but it's certainly not a critical blow.
So yesterday we found out the Raptors signed Aaron Baines and they brought back Chris Boucher, and it was cool to see a Canadian kid get paid. Considering this was likely plan B or maybe C, how do you think that the Raptors made out in addressing the 5 spot?
Well, of the players available, Baines is probably the most intriguing for what the Raptors need. He can shoot the 3. He's a 35% 3-point shooter last year in Phoenix, which is a pretty good number. He's tough. He's a good rim protector. Sets bone-jarring screens, which is a big deal in the way the Raptors play offense. But he's a 33-year-old basically on a 1-year deal. There's no guarantee on his second year. There's no option, frankly. There's just no guarantee there. So he's a look-see, and he's a stopgap, and that's fine. On the Raptor team as it's built, they don't need their 5 to be 20 points a night. They have Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Norm Powell. They're going to do the heavy lifting. Yeah. They need a serviceable big, and they got a serviceable big in Baines. And Boucher, he's an intriguing prospect, no question, but he's also 27, and you don't know how much better he's going to get. But for a 1-year deal, why not?
All right, let's take a look around the NBA because there was a lot of fun, and there's nothing like NBA free agency, but it felt like this weekend everything was so jam-packed because the season's right around the corner. First, Marc Gasol is going to be chasing another ring with the Lakers after signing a 2-year deal. How do you like the fit there?
I like it because of the way he plays offense. Him and LeBron passing the ball to cutters on that offense is going to be something to see. Yeah. Now, Marc he's still the smartest defender I've ever seen. His foot speed's not quite there. He can't switch out and guards on the perimeter. But I think he's going to have a lot of fun playing with guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, LeBron, Anthony Davis. I think there's going to be a lot of fun to that offense. It's a good fit for them. And yeah, the Lakers are, I think, obviously the favorites to win the championship today. Whether they are in May, who knows? But it's good. It's good for Mark. I'm glad he's going to get another shot at a ring. I think he likes LA. There's a legacy of Powell out there that's sort of intriguing to me. I think it's a good deal for him. But on the Lakers, he's going to be him and LeBron zinging passes to cutters and guys in the wing is going to be something to watch.
Just both palming the ball and whipping it across the court. Yeah. So what was more surprising to you? Sixth man of the year, Montrezl Harrell moving from the Clippers to the Lakers, or Gordon Hayward scoring a 4-year, $120 million deal with the Hornets?
Hayward for sure. I was shocked, stunned. Not that I was stunned that he got 4 years, because that's a long-term deal for a guy who's been hurt a lot. I was shocked that it was Charlotte. I thought Atlanta would be in play. I thought the Knicks would be in play. Charlotte was a total dark horse. So, it's a big gamble for the Hornets. Big money, big commitment gamble. And they had the last big free agent they signed, Nick Batum, they had to waive to make the money to pay Hayward. So they're totally in revision mode there. But to me, that was the big surprise of the entire weekend.
And Canadian Tristan Thompson ended up in Boston. Is that a good move for the Celtics? And was he someone who could have fit nicely with the Raptors?
I don't think he would have fit nicely with the Raptors. I wasn't on that bandwagon at all. I know the Raptors had very little, if any, interest in Tristan, because the way he plays, he doesn't quite fit what the Raptors like to do offensively or defensively, frankly. In Boston, yeah, he'll be okay. He'll rebound, he'll block shots, he'll protect the rim, which is what he does, and he'll probably do it very effectively. But will he make them any better than they were? I don't think so.
All right, I got one more fun one because I like to put you on the spot a little bit once in a while.
Sure.
Prediction time. Where will James Harden and Russell Westbrook end up?
Oh, one of them's going to end up in New York with the Knicks, I'm sure, because the Knicks can't help themselves. They'll find some way to do that. I don't know that either of them will start in Houston. I doubt that they will. They'll both get moved somewhere, but I don't know which one's going to end up with the Knicks. But I'm sure one will, because that's what the Knicks just nick, and that's what they're going to do.
I can't wait for NBA Twitter when that happens. All right. All right, Doug, big thanks to you for taking some time after a crazy weekend to catch up with us. You can follow Doug on Twitter @SmithRaps. Visit thestar.com/Raptors to read his work, and check out his new book, We the North, which documents 25 years of the Raptors. Great Christmas present. Thanks, everyone who watched Indoor Recess today. Keep an eye out. Later this week, we'll have Gregor Chisholm, Laura Armstrong on, talk about the Jays offseason. And Doug, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. I'll be here.